Hey, what's up, people? Piz out here, and today I want to talk to you guys about the film The Guest, written by Simon Barrett and directed by Adam Wingard. And The Guest is about a soldier who one day shows up on the doorstep of the Peterson family, claiming that he was close with their son. He had served with their son overseas, and before their son was killed in action, his last wish was for David to travel to his town and tell each member of his family that he loved them. And David is immediately welcomed into the Peterson home. He immediately ingratiates himself to basically every member of the Peterson family. But it's soon thereafter that we, as do the Peterson family themselves, begin to discover that David is not quite the Captain America that he portrays himself to be. And all sorts of shenanigans ensue. I first started hearing about The Guest months and months ago. Just at first, just kind of little drips and drabs about the movie, but most of it was very positive. That it was, it was this kind of hybrid action movie, thriller, mystery. That it had a great soundtrack, had some great action sequences, so on and so forth. And, I'll admit, and this may make me, I may come off bad saying this, but I admit it. I'm an open book. Whenever I would see the poster art for the film, the cover art, the promotional, this is The Guest, it was always just, this picture of this really handsome guy. And it sort of rang to me as if they were trying to sell the movie based solely on the fact that, hey, there's this handsome guy in it. You want to watch this movie, don't you? Because there's a handsome guy in it. And I just sort of got flashes of, CW, or CW teeny bopper shows, or even, the super glossy kind of, studio horror films that we see these days that are, they get the casting straight out of the Abercrombie and Fitch catalog. And it kind of steered me away from the movie, at least for a little while. And, being a huge movie fan that I am, and I've said this before, I try not to judge a book by its cover. I try not to weigh too heavily on negative reviews or positive reviews. If it's a movie I really want to see, I much prefer to go into it totally blind with no preconceived notions or anything of the sort. But like I said, the promotional material for the movie, it kind of just seemed like they were saying, hey, there's a handsome guy in this movie. Come watch. It doesn't matter what it's about. He's a guest. Maybe he can be your guest, and he's so handsome. But anyway, in this case, this is a classic case. The Guest is a classic case of not judging a book by its cover. Because The Guest is a really good movie. A really good movie. A really entertaining movie, and a really fun movie. And a lot of that has to go to the credit of the writer, Simon Barrett, but moreover to the star of the film, Dan Stevens, who's the handsome guy on the poster for the movie, who had initially kind of turned me away from the movie. All credit in the world goes to him. His performance is phenomenal. He does a fantastic job. The entire movie really hinges on him and his ability to balance being charming and being menacing. And going back and forth and transitioning between charming and menacing. And he does it so well. And he does it so subtly. It's not like the dun-dun-dun kind of, you thought you knew who this guy was, but no, this is who he really is kind of thing. But Dan Stevens does such a phenomenal job of doing that. The trick of the movie is that you like the character of David. He does really bad things in this movie. But you like him, and you root for him, and strangely enough, you kind of want him to win in the end, to get away with it. And that's just, like I said, one of the great tricks of the movie. Even one of the characters in the film, the younger brother. David, ingratiates himself so much upon the younger brother that even when the younger brother figures it out, he's like, hey, I know you're not who this guy is, and I know you're a bad person, and I know you've probably killed people, but I don't care. I like you. I think you're cool. You're my friend. And that's kind of how the viewer is. I mean, that's, you know, very few movies can do that, can make you that conflicted, and The Guest does it really just effortlessly. And Dan Stevens' performance is because of that. So all credit in the world, I think, goes to Dan Stevens and to the writer. The movie it's a serious movie, but it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's got kind of a lighthearted aspect to it. It's not like, you know, tongue-in-cheek, you know, hokey, you know, we're wink wink, we're in on the joke with you. It's not quite like that, but it does have a pretty good sense of humor. Great action sequences in the movie, especially toward the end of the movie. Some great action sequences. There's an awesome sequence in the film involving David and the younger brother's principal during a meeting in the principal's office, and you get the idea that not only is David very well trained in hand-to-hand combat, but he's very well trained in mind-to-mind combat, because he just totally destroys this principal. It's awesome to watch. It's really awesome to watch. The soundtrack is great. It's got the soundtrack kind of reminded me a little bit of Drive, that kind of music in the movie. I did like the soundtrack a lot. The movie looks great. Lots of great photography in the film. The characters are all, you know, really well fleshed out. You know these characters. You like them. You understand them. You have the mother who is kind of, you know, she wants to be a really great mother, but she's just so mousy. She can't stand up for herself. She can't let her voice be heard. You have the father who's kind of unfulfilled at his job, who's an alcoholic. You have the son who's, you know, smart kid, who's picked on in school. You have the daughter who's at this sort of, you know, crossroads in her life in her early 20s and doesn't quite know what she wants to do with the rest of her life. So you've got great characters in the film, memorable characters in the film. You've got a compelling story, great acting, great action sequences, great soundtrack, just all around a really fun, entertaining movie. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it. And, you know, I mean, shame on me for judging a book by its cover, but I really enjoyed The Guest. Easily one of the most fun, entertaining movies I've seen in quite some time. The movie leaves a lot, sort of, it leaves you with more questions than answers, but I think it does that not because the filmmakers aren't smart enough to kind of tie loose ends, you know, or totally flesh things out. We're still kind of left in the dark about what kind of shadowy program that David was a part of that turned him into Captain America from Hell. A friend of mine, I was actually recommending the movie to a friend of mine earlier today, and he was like, "What's it about?" And I said, Captain America from Hell. Captain America gone way awry. That's kind of what this movie is. And yeah, like I said, highly recommend The Guest. It's in the Redbox. Check it out. Well worth the $1.50 or whatever it is to rent out of the Redbox these days. It may even be on Netflix. Give it a look. I would recommend you picking it up on DVD or Blu-ray and adding it to your collection. I think it's also the kind of movie that warrants future views. So definitely something I think you can add to your collection. If you've seen The Guest, please let me know what you think of it in the comment section below. If you've not, go see it, then come back and let me know what you think of it in the comment section below. So anyway, until next time, you guys take it easy. Thanks for watching. Have a great one. Peace.